All right, so today we are going to be wrapping up perimeter and area by doing problems requiring both of those pieces of information. Okay, so I want to go back to our formula chart. So we know that we have formulas here for the perimeter of squares and rectangles. Okay, and we know that we have formulas for the area of squares and rectangles. So we need both of those pieces of information today. So I'm going to write out the most important ones, okay, because we know that squares are kind of special. You know, it's sides instead of lengths and width, but we also know that we can pretty much deal with, we can say that the sides are lengths and widths and all of that. We've had that discussion several times. Okay, so here's a type of problem that we're going to have today. So I have a rectangle here, and I know a few things. Okay, I know the perimeter is 40 miles. Okay, I know the width is 8 miles. I don't know anything else about this shape, and I need to find the area. Okay, so I have to use all of the things that we have learned over the past 3 days to help find that missing piece. Okay, so I first want to deal with this piece right here. Okay, because of the definition of a rectangle, I know that if this side is 8 miles, this side has to also be 8 miles. Okay, I also know that if I add up all my sides, that's perimeter, and it gives me 40 miles. So if I use this formula, I can find the missing piece. Okay, so these are the widths. So I know the width is 8. Okay, so, and I also know the perimeter. So I'm going to plug in 40 for the perimeter. Okay, I do not know the lengths yet. So I'm just going to put 2L because I'm still missing that. Okay, I do now know the width though. Okay, so 2 times 8 is 16. Okay, so what I did is I plugged in the pieces I know so that I can find this piece that I don't know. Well, now I have to use what we were doing right before Christmas where we were solving equations. So I know that if I want to get this 2L that I don't know yet by itself, I have to get rid of this 16. And remember, that's where our inverse operations come in. Okay, so what is the opposite of addition? Well, the opposite is subtraction. So if I take away 16 from this part, that leaves me with just my 2 times my length, okay, which is what I want. But remember, if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other. So I took away 16 here, so now I take away 16 here. Okay, and that gives me 24. So what that tells me, let me lift that up a little bit, is that 2 times my length, apparently I can't write L very well today, 2 times my length has to be 24. Okay, well, so remember, a number next to a variable means multiply. Okay, so what number times 2 gets me 24? That would be 12, right? Okay, so is 2 times 12 24? Absolutely. So I'm saying that the length is 12. And now, in order to see if that is correct, if I plug in 12 for my lengths, and remember, I can add up all my sides to get my perimeter, right? Well, I know my perimeter has to be 40. So if I add up all these sides and it's 40, then we did this correct. So I need 12 plus 12 plus 8 plus 8. Okay, Well, 8 and 8 is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 2, 3, 4. So it is 40, so we did that correct. And now that I know both my length and my width, now I can figure out what that area is, okay? Because area equals length times width. So my length now is 12, and my width is 8. So my area is 96 square miles. All right, so on this problem it says, Greg built a picture frame with a perimeter of 50 inches. So I know the perimeter, the outside is 50 inches. How wide is the picture frame? Well, they're telling me that the bottom is 14, which means the top has to also be 14. What we don't know is the width. Okay, so we don't know that. We need to figure that out. Okay, well, again, using that formula, P equals 2L plus 2W, we plug in what we know. So I'm going to put in a different color what we know. We know the perimeter is 50 inches. Whoops. Okay. 50 inches here. All right. And we also know the length, right? We know that the length is 14. So 14 plus 14 is the same thing as 14 times 2, right? So we know this part is 28. Okay. What we don't know is this part. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing that we did the last time to solve the equation. So what is the opposite of addition? That would be subtraction. Okay, so I'm going to take away 28 from both sides. Okay, that leaves me with 22 on this side and with just 2W on this side. Well, remember, that's the same thing as saying 2 times W. Okay, so what number times 2 is 22? That would be 11. Okay, so we want to plug that in. We think it's 11, and let's double check. So to find perimeter, I add up all the sides. So I have 14, 14, 11, and 11. Okay, 4 and 4 is 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they told me my perimeter is 50, so we did do that correctly. All right, 2 more problems together. Okay, on these, it's a little bit less information that we have to find. Okay, so looking at this first rectangle on number 1, what I know is the area. Okay, so I'm going to write out that formula. Area equals length times width. So I know the area is 216 inches. I do not know the length. Okay, I'm going to use this dot to represent multiplication since I have an x for a variable. And I do know the width is 8 inches. Okay, so I need to find out what number times 8 gets me 216. Well, that's where I need my opposite operation. So the opposite operation of multiplication is division. So if I divide by 8 on this side, this is gone and I only have x. But that means that I also need to divide by 8 on the other side. So I'm going to have to write that out. Well, I know 8 cannot go into 2, so I put a 0. Now I'm on 21. I know 8 can go into 21 2 times, because 2 times 8 is 16. I have 5 left, and I bring down my 6. I know 8 can go into 56 7 times, because 7 times 8 is 56. So I'm saying that this missing piece right here of x is 27 inches. Now, I can double check that by multiplying. So if I do 27 times my 8, I should get the area that they told me about. So 8 times 7 is 56. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 5 is 21, and I did find my area. All right, I'm going to get a little bit of room over here so we can do this last one. Okay, so on this one, I know the perimeter. Okay, so I know perimeter is 2L plus 2W. And they're telling me the perimeter is 94. And they're telling me the length is 32. So remember, if the top is 32, so is the bottom. Okay? So in order to find out what these sides are, I have to plug in that number too. So 32 plus 32 is 64. That's 2 times 32. Okay? What I don't know there is this part. Okay? So now I do my solving equations. What's the opposite of addition? That would be subtraction. So I need to subtract 64 from this side and from this side. And that leaves me with 30 on this side of the equal sign and the 2W on this side. So again, what number times 2 is 30? Well, that would be 15. Okay, so we're saying that the sides are 15. And again, to check and see if that's true, if I add my 2 lengths and my 2 widths together, I should get the 94 that we started with the perimeter. 5 and 5 is 10, 12, 14, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that is what we started with. So that is calculated correctly.